So Florida Republicans actually introduced a bill that would make Florida taxpayers pay for Donald Trump's legal expenses. That bill has since been withdrawn because Ron DeSantis said that he would veto it. But the reason that I wanted to talk about this one is because for years, whenever I've had talks with Republicans and debates with Republicans, one of the biggest issues we've always debated is tax dollars. Where's my tax dollars going? Is my tax dollars going to pay for that? Is my tax dollars going to pay for this? And anytime we came up with any idea like healthcare, well, who's going to pay for it? Is that going to be my tax dollars? Well, what about college education? Well, wait a minute, who's going to pay for it? Is that my tax dollars? Republicans have always been obsessed with their tax dollars. And now, Florida Republicans was suggesting that taxpayers pay for Donald Trump's legal expenses. And no matter how you slice this one, it's extremely fucked up. Because imagine if you're someone who didn't support Donald Trump, you're someone who never voted for him, you're someone who never wants to see him hold a political office again, and now your tax dollars is going to support this guy and pay for his fees. On the other hand, if you're a Republican who thinks that the whole thing is just a big hoax and it's all just a big government plot to take him down, you should be every bit as offended that you would be paying his bill too, because according to you, it's all bullshit. So your tax dollars would be going to something you don't even believe is real. And wouldn't that be Joe Biden in your world? Wouldn't that be Joe Biden getting one up on you? You're now having to pay for Joe Biden's witch hunt? It's one of the dumbest ideas that I've ever heard, but I'm not shocked at all that it was an idea, and I'm not shocked at all that there wouldn't be people out there who would get behind it. Because I actually remember a conversation that I had years ago with a Trump supporter about the wall. I pointed out, Mexico's never paid for it, buddy. They're not going to. Well, I guess we'll have to if they're not going to. After believing that he could do it and make Mexico pay for it. I'm amazed at how fast they can turn on a dime and just jump through whatever hoop in the mental gymnastics game that he decides to play. I've never seen people manipulated and led and controlled the way Donald Trump has hypnotized these people to the point that we're over here trying to say, hey, this doesn't make sense. No way you slice it. Either way you slice this one doesn't make sense. And just imagine if some Democrats came up with an idea for tax dollars to pay for Hunter Biden's legal expenses. Imagine how hard their heads would explode. Can you imagine the stroke level that Sean Hannity and Tucker Carlson would be at if it was even suggested? But they suggest this when it comes to Trump, and there is people out there who would do it because they're already doing it. They're already buying a piece of the suit that he wore in his mugshot. They're already buying shirts that says never surrender with a picture of him surrendering. And when we point this stuff out, they get mad about it. They get upset that we point these things out, but it's so blatantly obvious that they're being played. It is so blatantly obvious that they're being played. I know I always make wrestling analogies, but here's another one. Back when I was a kid, I loved to watch pro wrestling. I still do. I watch it with my youngest sons. We watch it every time it comes on. And we realize that it's not a real fight. We realize that it's all for our entertainment, and we just sit back and enjoy the show. But back when I was a kid, my uncle would walk in the room. He hated it. He would walk in the room and he'd go, oh, God, why is that guy laying there letting that guy come off the top rope on him? Why don't he move out of the way? He could see him coming. Why did that guy let him military press him over his head? I wouldn't let a man pick me up like that. The entire time I'm sitting there going, but I like it. I'm just entertained by it. I know what it is. I just like it. I'm just entertained by it. Okay, if Republicans and MAGA Republicans would just say that out loud, hey, we're just entertained by this. We just really find this entertaining. We're just watching it for the show. We're just watching it for the entertainment. That would be one thing, but they're not. They're completely engrossed in it as though it's real. And they're willing to send their money to buy a piece of his coat. How cultish is that? And would they have a problem with their tax dollars going to pay for his expenses? I can't say that they would. But they should. If, according to them, it's all a big witch hunt, why would they want to pay for the big witch hunt? It's ridiculous either way you slice it, and it's amazing just how much stuff they will continue to allow, and they will continue to accept, and they will continue to just say, that's okay. Yeah, we'll do that too. They get mad when we call it a cult, but how else can you describe it? At the end of the day, how else can you describe it? If they were just Watching a reality show that they knew was bullshit and they weren't sinking all their money into it, that would be one thing. But they're sinking their entire lives into this. And they're sinking the entire future of American democracy on this. And that's the serious nature of it. That's why so many of us are sitting here. And I know it sounds like sour grapes. A voice of reason does sound like sour grapes in a crazy world. Okay? It just does. We may sound bitter. We may sound like we're mad, which a lot of us are mad about it. And we are bitter about it because American democracy is on the line now. And these people are caught up in this show. And it's one of the most dangerous shows that's ever been played in the American political theater. So the next time that a Republican wants to have a debate with me about where's my tax dollars going, I'm going to bring this up. And I'm going to hold their feet to the fire and I'm going to say, okay, you don't want to pay for Mama to have an operation. You don't want to pay for your cousin to get a good education. You don't want to pay for anything that would help any of us because you don't want your tax dollars going to it, but you're willing to let your tax dollars go to support a grifter. Explain that one. Just explain that one to me and take all the time you need.